What's up, guys? Welcome into another episode of the Michigan Recruiting Report. I'm your host, EJ Holland, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 highest rated recruits set to come in for official visits. So we're going to be using the On3 industry rankings to talk about the 5 highest ranked recruits set to come in for OVs. Before we do that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to thewolverine.com for $1 for 2 months, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel completely free. Get notifications every time we drop a new video. So again, these are guys that have locked in official visit dates. There are other recruits that have talked about coming in, but these guys have their OVs set. So we're going to be talking about the 5 highest ranked recruits, again, using the On3 industry ranking. We're going to start off on the offensive side of the ball with Quincy Porter, top 100 wide receiver out of New Jersey. We've talked a ton about Quincy. He's the #1 wide receiver target on Michigan's board. Michigan's entire offensive staff recently went out to New Jersey to meet with him. He has great relationships with area recruiter Grant Newsome, wide receivers coach Ron Bellamy, and more. He made a visit last year for the barbecue at the Big House, returned this spring, and is now set to make his official visit on June 14th. So, I think Michigan has done a fantastic job here. I would say it's Michigan, Ohio State at the top. Michigan has a lot to offer in terms of the ability to come in and play right away. Michigan is in desperate need of a big-bodied wide receiver, and they don't really have a guy like Porter on the roster. On the flip side of the coin, Ohio State obviously has a lot to sell when it comes to wide receiver production and a pass-happy offense, as well as NIL. Oklahoma is still in this. Alabama and Georgia are continuing to flirt with Porter. But right now, I think Michigan and Ohio State are the 2 teams to beat. And he is making an OV to Ohio State June 7th. Michigan will be the following weekend, and he'll end it off with Oklahoma. We'll see if he adds any other schools here for his summer official visit slate. But right now, Michigan has the lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine. All right, next up on the list is actually Michigan defensive line commit Nate Marshall out of Chicagoland. So Marshall gave a bit of a surprise commitment to Michigan right after his visit for the spring game. Really intriguing defensive lineman that can stand up and be an edge. He can put on some weight and be more of a 4-eye, 3-tech. It'll be interesting to see how he develops at the next level. So Marshall is expected to come in for Victor's Weekend, which this year is slated for June 21st. He's ranked as the number 40 overall recruit in the country. So the biggest win of the cycle so far for Michigan. But, it's important to get him in for this OV on Victor's Weekend because Michigan is going to have to fight to keep him. Marshall said all the right things in interviews, has said that he's going to stick with Michigan, that he's solid, that he's not paying attention too much to other schools. But I don't think that threat's going away anytime soon. I think schools like Alabama and Miami specifically are going to continue to recruit him. And, we're going to have to see if he does end up making official visits to those schools or not. But I think Michigan getting him in for Victor's Weekend, because before he committed, Marshall was originally scheduled to make it in May 31st, which would have been the first weekend of summer OVs. Now he's scheduled to make it in for Victor's Weekend. Getting him around the commits, getting him to reconnect with the coaches, getting him to feel just more comfortable calling Michigan home, I think will be key. So again, I don't think the threats of the other schools, or at least the calls from the other schools, will go away anytime soon, as we still have several months before the early signing period. But I think Michigan can definitely increase its chances of keeping Marshall with a strong OV for Victor's Weekend. All right, next up on the board is top 100 linebacker Nathaniel Wu Bang by way of IMG Academy in Florida. Actually, originally from Virginia, so I should say by way of Virginia. But yeah, I think that Nathaniel Wu Bang is a guy that Michigan has increased its stock with recently. You didn't hear a ton about the Wolverines before the arrival of new linebackers coach Brian Jean Mary, but Coach BJ's done a fantastic job of building that relationship with Owusu Boateng. He actually recruited him while he was at Tennessee. And so, again, that relationship has Michigan right in the thick of things. They hosted him for a spring unofficial visit here recently, and that was his first time on campus. And Owusu Boateng told me that he really enjoyed his trip to Ann Arbor. His parents were really impressed with the program on and off the field, so much so that they immediately scheduled an official visit for June 21st. So they will also be on campus for Victor's Weekend. That'll allow him to get comfortable with some of the guys in the class, allow him to spend even more time with the coaching staff. And, some of the SEC schools are high up on the list. You see the On3 recruiting prediction machine as Florida and South Carolina at the top. But again, Michigan really making a nice move in this recruitment. He's ranked as the number 62 linebacker, or the number 62 overall prospect in the country, number 4 linebacker. And I think he's a talented prospect. I saw him live last season, and he was super impressive in the middle for Powerhouse IMG Academy. And he had a great game against St. Joseph Prep, which is one of the best schools out here on the East Coast. So he would be a very impressive win for Michigan. Next up on the list is top 100 defensive back Koa Winston out of the DMV, Washington, D.C., Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a very familiar program for Michigan fans. The Wolverines went out there and landed Evan Link a couple of cycles ago. Now they're trying to do the same thing with Winston. He's ranked as the number 100 overall recruit in the country. Penn State has the lead on the On3 recruiting prediction machine, and I would agree right now. He's been to Penn State more than any other school. His cousin plays for the Nittany Lions, so that connection helps as well. But Michigan's really been progressing in this recruitment thanks to new secondary coach Lamar Morgan. Winston made it to campus for a spring unofficial visit, really enjoyed his time on campus. And, the same things that attracted Michigan, to Evan Link, I think are the same things with Koa Winston, high academic kid, high character kid, really values the Michigan brand on and off the field. Those are things that helped land Link. And I think those are things that also have Michigan in a really strong position for Winston. Right now, I think the 4 schools at the top for him, as mentioned, are Penn State, Michigan, also North Carolina, and Oregon. Those are the 4 schools he's going to be making official visits to. Michigan is up first on May 31st. So, it's never the greatest option to have someone on campus that first weekend, but I think Michigan is definitely a legitimate contender here and will have a true chance to land him this summer. And he's a versatile defensive back. He's listed as a safety. Michigan really likes him as a nickel, but he can kind of play anywhere on the back end. He's a very valuable target. We're going to stick in the secondary for our final recruit, and that is Jayon Blair, top 100 safety out of North Carolina, actually just outside of the top 100 on the industry ranking, since we are using that ranking, but he is a top 100 recruit on On3 for the industry's number 139 overall. Right now, I think this is a 3-team battle between Penn State, Michigan, and Notre Dame. Penn State's been considered the leader there for a little while, but I think Michigan made up a lot of ground this offseason. Both Lamar Morgan and Wink Martindale were recently in North Carolina to see him. He made a spring unofficial visit and really enjoyed his time on campus. So, yeah, I think this one's going to come down to official visits. Again, Michigan's pushed the reset button on the secondary board, but guys like Winston and Blair have emerged as top priorities. We talked about Winston being more of a nickel type. Jayon Blair is that tall, rangy safety at 6'4", 180 pounds. He can even spin down into the box as well. So a top priority for Michigan and one of the best safety recruits in the country. So that is the 5 highest ranked recruits that have currently scheduled their summer official visits. We expect more recruits to schedule summer OVs soon. So make sure to stay locked into our YouTube channel by subscribing for free and liking this video, and also subscribing to the Wolverine.com for $1 for 2 months.